Sorry, you're having to jump back on. I'm not really sure what happened. I don't know if a cow we had out tripped over a wire that we have running through our field or what, but that was crazy. So we are back through the magic of Ecamm. And so if you had questions on the other post, drop them in here because I don't know how to go get those or where they're at. So maybe Connor, you can ask them. But I can't remember what were we even talking about. Like, what was the last thing we were on? I think it was books, wasn't it?
No, we were actually talking about the best place to live stream.
Okay, yeah.
For monetization, right? To get success on live stream.
See, it was Zuckerberg came after us when we started mentioning
right.
YouTube. So yeah, I think the best place for monetization would be YouTube. The second, it depends on. Here's the thing: everybody says you need to focus on one platform. The thing is with technology nowadays, it is so easy to go everywhere all at once, which is what we do right here. Which is why it took a little bit get back because I had to repost everywhere. But because I think people consume content where they want. Like some people love watching it YouTube because they love the YouTube platform. Other people like Facebook because that's where they're at every day. So I think it depends on where your audience is at too. But it's easier never than to stream live. So I don't know if that's answered Scott's question, but the fastest path seems to be YouTube to get monetization, like to start seeing some money. But that can be hard if you're just getting started, and especially it depends on the niche you're in. So I don't know. I think it would probably be something like, it's going to depend on your niche. Like, it's really funny. I have Whiskered Woodcarver. You talked about wood carving earlier. I've kind of like a throwaway channel I did. I hardly ever stream live there, but I get tons of followers like every day because the algorithm likes that one, which this kind of show is more of a niche kind of thing. Doesn't get as much love from the algorithm. So it just
it's important to also define how you're going to monetize, right? If it's from just ad revenue or something like that, probably YouTube's your best bet. But if you're looking to live stream so that you can then get clients or customers or something like that, and that's your monetization that you're equating back to live stream, then maybe it is like a LinkedIn or a Facebook.
Yeah. I totally agree. Here's a random question while we're waiting for people to kind of get back is, if you did a TED Talk outside of your main area of expertise, so it can't be marketing, can't be Disney, what would you talk about?
I would love to do one on stoicism.
Really?
Yeah. I think I know enough now, but I also think I know how to kind of show how to put it into your daily life. And a lot of what stoicism is taking the slings and arrows that come at you and not necessarily reacting with a huge emotional reaction, but interpreting it and thinking critically and moving forward from that. I think a lot of it is also about, so what, what's the big deal? Kind of having that mentality and putting things in perspective, which is easy to say, but then when you can kind of relate it back to people back 2,000 years ago were having the same quote unquote issues, having trouble getting out of bed in the morning to go do what they were going to do. I just find it so interesting, and I would love to talk about that. And in high school and college and everything, my favorite subject was always history. So I love talking about story from that.
Yeah. So I don't know what mine would be, because storytelling is part of what I do, and I love talking about storytelling. I don't know if I do a TED Talks on something other than my main area of expertise. It might be. There's so many things about music, I think, that we can take lessons from, like practicing. And I mean, there's some stuff that I think that, because I am not an expert in music like Chris Stone or like Gary Stockton or some of those people are. But I think there's some lessons you can come over with practice, being persevering through things. Practicing smart is the best thing. Like to help like I said, I'm trying to do more piano stuff, and practicing smart, I think, is the thing that I wish I would have learned when I was a kid. Instead of just running and doing some scales, it's like, okay, how do I, like you were talking about golf, it's all about against yourself. Like, how can I get better in this area, quickly, and that's going to build on this, and that's going to build on some other stuff. So I think that's probably might be something I talk about. So Here's another.
So
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I think I know the answer to this because of what we've talked about and what you've been doing recently, but what's one thing like in your business or even your life that you've started doing, but you wish you started it way sooner? It could be anything.
There's so many things.
Yeah.
My thing is probably email marketing. I was lucky that when I first started, even back at Manly Pinterest Tips, the podcast, in my call to action was like, hey, sign up for my newsletter. But I never really did anything except for just kind of blasting at them. I wish I would have started out with more lead magnets, and a sequence for email. I am more and more convinced, talking to our friends Liz Wilcox and Paul Gowder, the way to build a business and have longevity is to build your list. You look at everybody who's successful in our kind of world, everybody has a list that they use and monetize, and they're constantly working on their list. I think the more that you rely on the list, you're less in the ebb and flow of the algorithms. Like, think about these people who have huge TikTok channels and all this stuff. If they would have worked on their list alongside of what they were doing on TikTok, they're not freaking out as much. Like, with the SEO changes that are coming with AI stuff, like, I don't know about you, but I put in because I do a lot of, like I said, in the morning on my iPad, I'll put in a search and it's doing just the AI thing. It's not even, and then way lower down, it's giving me those articles it's pulling from. But if your traffic's all coming from that stuff, it's scary. Like, what's going to happen? And so having a list and a community, I just think that's the way you can guard yourself against that kind of stuff.
And I think that that's the best way to differentiate yourself and be as specific as possible. Like telling practical stories or examples that you've experienced is best done through email or best done through blog posts like that might not be a quick SEO search or something like that.
Right.
For me, I think it's a diversifying lead magnets, not just having one across everything. I think having one for kind of each bucket on your website, I think that's super important.
So we've been talking storytelling a lot, but I wanted, because you mentioned in the last show that we talked together in, is like, you talked about how, Disney had beginning, middle, and end approach to their storytelling, right? Like, so how can small businesses, building on what you had talked about before, effectively incorporate Disney's beginning, middle, and end approach to their marketing strategies? You mentioned, lead magnets. That's just one. That's kind of the beginning. Like, what have you learned from like the Disney model and that kind of stuff?
I think whenever you're selling something, a lot of the time you already know what the outcome the user is going to get from it, or the expected outcome that you would like them to get from it, because you've probably been in their shoes before. Mm-hmm. To that end, you probably know how they're going to feel each step of the way, from the beginning, the middle, and the end. So the end is really the solution. So if you take that idea of every story has a great beginning, a great middle, and a great end that kind of ties it all together, for you, your end is going to be the solution. What you want your customer or your client to experience and get resolve from at the very, very end. In the middle, it's all the hard work that they're going to do. At the beginning, it's how clueless it is, right? They don't know how they're going to get to the end. They don't know what the middle is going to entail. So for you, with storytelling, you're really trying to fill in that middle and show them how they're going to get to the end for that. The beginning is kind of already created. It's the person coming to you looking for help, but it's the middle that you're going to help them with. You're going to hold their hand with your product, your service, whatever it might be. And then the end is what you're going to get to together. And it's what's going to alleviate the stresses that they've been having.
So on that same note, let's talk about, the beginning, middle, and end. One of the things is those transitions. And I'm going to go back to Disney, because one of the things we talked about too is like how cool it is when you go from one land in Disney, there's this transition. And Lou talks about this as well. But the music changes, and the kind of subtly it's not an abrupt thing, but there is this transition. So how can brands create a seamless and immersive storytelling journey similar to that, but between what you just talked about, the beginning and middle and end?
It's it's about knowing your persona, right? So when someone comes in, they're coming from a very specific moment in time. You might have been there.
Hey guys, we're here.
think of the how it was, what did you find that eased you into that sort of next journey, that
Mhm.
middle phase, right? It's probably about being as clear as possible, giving people tools upfront as possible. Um, it's crazy to say, but like probably the easiest way to transition someone into something new is having a great welcome sequence or a great tutorial sequence or a great, you know, support database, whatever
Right.
it might be, so that they can kind of take the onus and ease themselves into that without it being so abrupt that they have to change everything that they're doing.
So on that note, we're talking about welcome sequences. This is a thing, and I want to get your take on it, and then I want to kind of follow up. But how do you start with the blank page? What do you? Because that's intimidating. Like, okay, Connor, write a welcome sequence, and like, oh, where do I start? I mean, how do you do it? Like, is there a process you go to? Like, when you look at a blank page, I mean, this could be anything. Like when you're putting a marketing plan together or whatever. But like that blank page, at least for me, is very intimidating. So how do you get past that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just the very, very first one you do is always going to be the toughest. The
Mm-hmm.
second is going to be a little less hard. The third's going to be even a little less hard from that. So it's all about repetition. But that very first one, when it's truly a totally blank page, you kind of want to know, what is that, again, going back to it, the end gonna look like? And then how are you going to get to that end? Um, I think the important thing is, instead of kind of, being shocked about, I want to put all this information into this big long sequence, cut it in half and then cut it in half again.
Mm.
And then it's about getting as specific as possible, because I think we're overwhelmed with a blank page, not because of it's blank, but because of all the ideas in our head. It could make that blank page a 500-page book, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what overwhelms us.
Mm.
But if we look at it and say, you know what, all I have to do is write half of a page about this specific topic, that's so much easier to start with than let's put everything I know into this sequence.
Yeah. So here's my secret hack, and this has helped me more than probably anything, because I get overwhelmed with that blank page looking at it, especially for we talked about the struggle with email sequences and newsletters and stuff. And my biggest thing, and you can actually, I'm going to put it up on screen again. If you go to the jeffc.com/toolbox, I have Liz Wilcox $9 membership in there, and that has helped me probably more than anything, because she gives you a template a week. Now you don't have to use it, and she even says like, this is just, and she has different examples of like, if you want to take it all the way by yourself, and here's some maybe swipe copy, and here's like kind of almost done for you kind of a thing. That has helped me so much. I love it, because I end up rewriting the whole thing, but it's not that blank page. I have something that sparks my ideas, and now it's in my process. So I have I use Notion, and I have it on my phone, and I can actually, just going out through the day, I'm like, oh, this would be a good idea for a newsletter, my Tuesday newsletter. So that has been, because I struggle, like you see that empty Word document and that cursor just flashing at your face. You're like, oh, where do I go? There, no one wants to hear what I have to say. And this gives you a little like jump start. And I love tools, and especially her newsletter thing has helped me out a ton. So yeah, I thought that what you're saying is really great points. By the way, if you do want to check out the newsletter, you can go to jeffc.com/news, where you can sign up, because we are going to be starting to give away the Ecamm Creator Camp ticket that's coming up for their Creator Camp in October. So we're going to start doing some stuff with that. Very, very cool. We're going to actually share a secret code. I know you guys, this kind of stunk that we had to switch streams in the middle of this with the hamster in my internet died. I mean, just like going around in circles. He's like, he was done. I had to go bury him, and then we started a new one. But I'm going to give a code at the end of this, so stick around for that, so you guys can get some extra entries. By the way, big shout out to our sponsors, Ecamm. You can find out more about them at ecamm.com/Jeff. Use code Jeff15 to save 15% on your first order. The cool thing is, even though it was kind of a hiccup, having Ecamm, I could just start up the stream again. Connor jumped right back on after everything rebooted. So yeah, that's Ecamm's awesome. So we need to probably start wrapping it up a little bit, but I wanted to ask a couple more questions. And if you have any questions in the comments, let us know. I hope our comments are working. I haven't seen any pop through, but that may be an issue with the restart. But if you could afford to be one of the passengers on SpaceX, would you do it?
No, absolutely not.
Really? You wouldn't go up in space?
Yeah. Well, I just feel like getting up there seems exhausting. I mean, it's just like, first off, I'd probably throw up 100 times, right?
Did you do the space? Did you do the intense version of space in the Mission Space?
And I've never done Orange because I just assume it's going to ruin my day, and I never wanted one day ruined, right?
It does.
I don't think I would. I think there's so much on this planet that I would still love to see.
But everybody who's been at who've gone on up, they say when they go up and they see it, they're like this. We're all one small in this globe together. We're all unity, and you don't care. Okay, I think I'd have to be older, and my life would be almost over, to do it. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, because I got a lot of stuff, like you said, I want to do here, and you don't walk away from an accident on those things. It's there's no you don't have a fender bender and your insurance goes up, you explode and you're gone. So that's
I will say, as I've now live in Orlando, getting to see the rocket shuttles launch.
Oh, that's cool.
From my window, it's the coolest thing ever.
That is cool. I didn't think about that. That is really cool. Yeah. I did ride a Mission Space. My son's like, let's go. Last time we was there together, and I did it, and I was like, I'll never do that ever again in my life. Not fun. I didn't get sick. I didn't throw up. I just felt horrible. I just don't want to. I need to sit down. When you get in there and you see the airsick bag right there in a Disney ride, and you have cold air blowing in your face, they're like, why is cold air blowing on my face? Oh, there's a reason. So you don't vomit.
Some astronauts rode that when it first opened, and they're like, whoa, that's intense. I believe they said that. And if astronauts are saying that, I'm out.
All right, Connor Brown, this has been fun. I'm sorry about the glitches, but we'll have to do this again, because we had some great comments that we didn't get to during the show today. But I want to have enough time for people to tell. You can tell everybody where to find the unsinkable Connor Brown, because I think that's super important. And I think you have a new Babam website. Look at that.
Look at that lower third. Yes. So if you've been listening to the show as I've been co-hosting here and there, you probably know my original website was called wdwopinion.com. I started that back in 2017. I've gone through a rebrand. It is now vacationkingdoms.com. Reason for that is I love to talk about Disney World, but now I also love to talk about Universal Orlando Disney Cruise Line as well. So kind of broadening my horizons. Check us out, vacationkingdoms.com. Let me know what you think of the rebrand as well.
That is awesome. Yeah, Connor is amazing when it comes to all stuff vacation and travel. So we've used him before. I think with all the summer stuff, you need to give him a call, because he'll get you what you need to get going, and even some little secret tips and tricks to have the best vacation experience that you can actually have. So I am Jeff C. You can find out more about me at jeffc.com. Once again, make sure you guys sign up for jeffc.com/news to get access to the very, very cool new contest we're doing. And I promise, this is the secret code today. U40GGS. If you enter that code when the newsletter comes out on Tuesday and you have access to the actual sweepstakes, that will give you extra entry. So U40GGS is the secret code. And with that, Connor Brown, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for Ecamm. Thank you guys for sticking with us with all the technical difficulties, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.